Welcome back, YouTubers, to our TNA Slammiversary 2012 10-year anniversary pay-per-view review with us, the British Fist.
Gotcha.
I am Mr. Parky, and this guy sitting next to me, none other than the one and only, it's NJ.
What's up?
Shush, indeed. You should subscribe above, like this video, and comment any thoughts you have on this TNA Slammiversary 10-year show down in the comment section below.
Make sure you contact us in the links in the video box. Hello.
Yes, and not only is it the 10-year anniversary for TNA, it's also the year anniversary since we started reviewing TNA pay-per-views. Remember, the first TNA pay-per-view we ever reviewed was Slammiversary 2011. So, hey, some landmarks are being made here. TNA had their 10-year anniversary. We have our 1-year TNA pay-per-view anniversary. Yay!
So, hashtag British Fist, hashtag TNA 10.
Exactly, yes. And apparently, firstly, I just want to comment on the... arena, man. The arena, it felt big, didn't it? There was, what, 5,000 to 6,000 people there, the biggest crowd they've ever had, and it made the show feel a hell of a lot more special, didn't it? The fact they were in this big arena with what was a pretty good crowd, don't you think?
They were pretty packed and pretty nicely done, because obviously with this being Slammiversary, yes, the build may not have been the best, but the crowd was thought differently because they all tuned in, they all came to this, they all built up, and the reaction we got throughout most of the pay-per-view was very good for the show.
Indeed, and they were really pumping the 10-year anniversary stuff up, which really affected my viewing of the show. But I'll go on to more on that in a second or two. We opened up the Slammiversary show with none other than the Hulkster, the Hulk Hogan. The crowd went, well, pretty fucking mental for Hulk Hogan. It kind of felt like the beginning of an Impact. But he talks about this being a celebration, how the next 10 years are going to be twice as awesome. And he announces that Aries versus Joe is going to be for the X Division title. I'm sitting there thinking, could you not have announced that beforehand? Did you really need Hogan to come out? Even though he did get the crowd going. And it does kind of make sense to open a 10-year anniversary show with your GM.
This was an interesting way to open, with it being a special show, Hogan being the one presenting it, warming up, saying that he's going to probably be a few surprises coming up, give us wondering what is he going to do, what is he going to make. For the X Division Championship, we had that whole thought, have they really gone over the limit, over the weight size and body shape and all that, but to make this match more interesting than what it already was, giving Austin Aries a good challenge, so I didn't have much problem with this when the match actually started.
Yeah, I mean, Hogan was there for, what, not very long, and it gave us a nice stipulation for our next match, which was Austin Aries versus Samoa Joe. And I think it's fair to say, despite the fact that these didn't get much build, I really wish this would have got more build. Man, the crowd was hot for this. These guys were both over as fuck, weren't they? This is what made this match for me. The crowd were just... Oh, the crowd were amazing for this match, weren't they, as an opener? The first 30 minutes, the crowd were pretty fucking great.
Well, quite recently, the TNA have done a really good job at making Austin Aries mean something important and likeable, and at the same time Samoa Joe. So for the crowd reaction to join both sides was very nicely, evenly done, and you couldn't go wrong with this match. They just did it really well. The crowd were enjoying it. It didn't matter who won here, it was just how well the crowd and the wrestling performed.
And as Hulk Hogan said, starting the pay-per-view off old school with an X Division Championship match. This match got about 12 minutes. I wish it probably would have been a little bit longer, but I can't complain with what I got. The crowd were really into this match, which made the match even better than probably what it was. But the match itself was pretty damn good. I enjoyed watching Austin Aries versus Samoa Joe. And, of course, despite the fact that this didn't get billed, I'm not surprised that Austin Aries won. He is the X Division champion, and he is kind of like the guy on the rise at the moment. So,
well, the thing about this match, one of the best things about this match, yes, it was all those dives that happened, very nicely done. It was also the fact that Austin Aries did the brain bust. The way he actually lifted him, it was like a great moment there, showing his strength, showing that whoever comes up next, he can take them on. And I thought this was very nicely done. And Samoa Joe shakes his hand after the match. Very nicely done. It's like giving you respect from a top guy to Aries, saying, you're ready, let's go for it.
Really, really good opening. You kind of wondered what the fuck could follow this. But, I mean, this is all part of Austin Aries' steady progression now, and they're giving another win over a big X Division name. And you're kind of wondering what they've got lined up for him at Destination X in the main event. AJ Styles, maybe Bobby Roode. This is going to be the next big test for Austin Aries' character on the way to the main event scene, it looks like.
Well, there's a small thought that, as it was going to be for the X Division Championship, randomly just put in there, is this the time where they're going to obviously move him out of the X Division and onto the main event? But I'm not going to complain. Austin Aries has beat Samoa Joe, a big wrestler. Now we're just wondering, who is he going to face next? Who is he going to lose it to? And I just say that TNA have done a good job here.
They have done a great job of Austin Aries. Kid Kash versus Hernandez. Any reason why this was on the card? I really don't know why.
Well, the only reason I can think of this match is on the card is number one, build-up time. Number two, out of these 4 weeks we've had, it's the most built-up match. The match that everyone there, all those numbers, fans were tuning in to see. You had the fan favourite one side and the top heel of the company the other. Who's going to win? Let's find out.
I'll tell you what though, even though this match was kind of random and announced, the crowd was still pretty hot for this match, weren't they? It's amazing how hot the crowd can be after a good opener like that. This wasn't necessarily a bad match, it's just that I didn't really have any reason to care about it. And Hernandez wins, may get a face push. That's what I gathered from this.
They've got some reason for this, because number one, you're just doing the yes put up time, but as long as there's something to follow on this from this, and at least it'll mean something for the result, but we'll see.
We had a tag match next. Robbie E and Robbie T versus Devon and Garret Bischoff. It's funny how when I watched this match, I really didn't give a shit about it, but the fans at least cared for Devon. You could tell the fans really did care for Devon a lot, and the crowd popped for Anderson and Kash. But they weren't really popping for this one because most of the time in the ring was spent Garret Bischoff and Robbie T and Robbie E, who no one really gives a shit about, let's face it.
Yeah, this match, the match, had a result. There we go.
It's pretty much sucked. Devon gets the pin, as we kind of knew. And it's like, how many times does Devon have to beat Robbie E in order for Robbie E to just get the fuck off our TV screen?
That's the thing now. The fact that he's done it many times now at a big pay-per-view, this should be end of. And hopefully they won't do a Devon versus Garret thing just because of how they work well together. I just want them to move on to something bigger and better, something that make the TV title mean something. Because that means Devon, okay, Garret, no.
Booking Devon versus Garret Bischoff at Bound for Glory, probably, who really knows. After this match, we had a number one contendership match for the World Heavyweight Championship slot on Impact this Thursday. Rob Van Dam versus Mr. Anderson versus Jeff Hardy. Shame TNA didn't have anything better for these two, really, especially Jeff Hardy, who is a big star for the company, and especially using a big pay-per-view to hype up to the TV show. I really had a problem with that, but the match itself was pretty solid, I thought, for a triple threat match.
Well, you've got 3 wrestlers who can perform in the ring, even if Rob Van Dam's getting a bit older now, he can still do stuff in the ring that gets the crowd going, and the way they all perform, I can't really complain about this. They put on a match, all sided, all fans liked what was going on, good spots, high spots, entertainment there, so I can't really complain about this. It's just as the match went on, I felt that the quality of the wrestlers got better. The result we can question.
The result we can question. I mean, Anderson gets the victory on RVD, and he's the only one out of the 3 that hasn't had a title shot. So I guess to me, it does make sense because he hasn't had a title shot yet, whereas RVD and Jeff Hardy have both had World Heavyweight Championship slots. And this was much better than their TV number one contendership match. I'll say that, and that's why I gave it 3 stars in the ratings.
Well, you said a good point about why Anderson wouldn't. As much as I like Anderson, he calls himself an asshole, he calls everyone else an asshole. He got this match. An asshole's going to go to the TNA show and face Bobby Roode or Sting, whoever wins, which we'll get to later. And now with this, I thought maybe it weren't the right choice because Anderson really hasn't been built up to a guy that was saying, right, we believe in him. He's got the right to become the champion or the number one contender. Go for it. But I guess for number one contender, anyone could win. Yeah,
and with the other 2 already getting shots, I think Anderson was the right decision. Personally, and it was a decent match. It got about 11.5 minutes. It was much better than the TV match, I'll say that. We have the Crimson Open Challenge next. This was our first kind of big surprise on the TNA pay-per-view, which is one of the reasons I'll go into it. I'll touch on that in the overall thoughts. You had Crimson. They talked about the undefeated streak a lot, and you were kind of like, wow, they're talking about it so much. It's going to be ending at some point tonight, isn't it? And who answers the call other than the returning James Storm? It was a nice moment to see James Storm come back, wasn't it? I do like James Storm, and I really wanted him to come back as soon as we got. And this was a nice surprise and a nice way to bring him back.
Of all the times you could bring back James Storm, this was perfectly the right time. Big pay-per-view, big special moment. James Storm making a big impact moment by accepting his challenge and going for it. It was a nice surprise, but at the same time, I know there's like the other possibilities we said, like Morgan, he could have proven that Crimson's not all that and could have had his rematch shot there and won. But James Storm is the better opponent for what it's going to lead to in the next few months.
I can't complain about this. The undefeated streak was really holding Crimson back, in my opinion. So to have James Storm come in and win like this and return like this in a nice surprise was a nice way to make this pay-per-view feel somewhat special, like a 10-year anniversary show. Do you know what I mean?
I do get that. It's just like the undefeated streak given to James Storm. It was good for James Storm, but at the same time, you couldn't go all this way. They probably had other plans. They thought, right, we don't know what to do now. All plans are failing. Let's use this time to give it to Storm. So for that reason, I give it a thumbs up.
We had an interview segment with Austin Aries. I think this is a good interview segment. This is why I brought it up. Talks about how he wants to be in the main event at Destination X, and Destination X will be a big pay-per-view for Austin Aries' push. It'll be interesting to see who he's faced, won't it, really?
That is the big question, because obviously he's ready for a challenge. He's ready for it now after being Samoa Joe. Let's just go for it and see who steps up.
Yeah, AJ, Bobby Roode. Who really knows who he's going to face? We have the TNA Hall of Fame segment next. We knew we were going to get this on the show. It got announced beforehand. You had Dixie Carter opening up, thanking the TNA fans, and she brings the whole roster out. Notice how they had James Storm and AJ Styles at the front. They're sort of like two, I guess you could say, two top baby faces. And Sting. Sting is the first member into the TNA Hall of Fame. Your thoughts?
Okay, I look at this. Yes, I wasn't really a fan of Dixie Carter talking, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, but I guess she should because she's part of it. And when she announced Sting, I look at this and think, one, the WWE, when they do it, it's normally a retired wrestler, a wrestler who's left, and TNA are doing it to a wrestler that is still active, still wrestling, probably going to wrestle even after this pay-per-view. So in that aspect, I think maybe give it to Sting when he's still got a long contract with TNA. Maybe what the best option, when it could have been given to someone who could have made a return, had the last segment in the ring, said thank you to all the fans for his career and that, and had a good... Because it's the first Hall of Fame for TNA, so maybe it could be given to someone who's done and needs to be more thanked than Sting.
I had no problem with it. I think Sting in the Hall of Fame, how can you go wrong with Sting? It's like he's a legend in WCW. In TNA, he's done some pretty good things. So I really don't have any problems with Sting being inducted in the Hall of Fame. All I can say is at least it's not Hogan, it's not Jeff Jarrett. At least Sting is a guy on the active roster who is still actually going and, in my opinion, deserves this Hall of Fame slot. And they're probably doing it before. They're probably trying to put him in there, so WWE don't put him in theirs at some point.
That's a good point I could think of this, because with the WWE still got many Hall of Fames to come, and they have a big, larger cast of who they're going to pick in. Sting could have eventually been one, but now TNA's done it. Yes, there's been the whole Ric Flair thing, but I think TNA was just saying, Sting's ours now, that's it. But in my opinion, maybe he should have been the first.
I have no problem with it whatsoever, boys. The Stinger is here to stay! And at the Bound we're going to get the formal induction as well, so I look forward to seeing that. Gail Kim, another nice segment that made this show feel special, in my opinion, the 10-year anniversary. They had like 3 or 4 of these throughout the night, and it was good, as long with the top 10 Slammiversary moments, which we'll get to later on.
Yeah, with her outfit being bright red, you know, just getting her out there noticed in this match. This was a very good match because I think Knockouts needed to be a part of this big Slammiversary, and they got it. Gail Kim defending her championship against Tess. And this match, I did give it a thumbs up because they both performed in the way they should do. It weren't like the wowest matches, but at least it went, as the match went on, the build-up, the fans were enjoying it. They were chanting for the right knockout, and the result was really good.
It was a pretty solid match. I can't really say much else about it. I think after the long title reign that Gail Kim has, I think it had to end at some point, and Brooke was in her home state. Miss Tessmacher was in her home state of Texas, and given her the win here, in my opinion, after Gail Kim has had such a long title reign, they booked Brooke Tessmacher as a girl who can win the Knockouts Championship with the cheaty victory that Gail Kim got at Sacrifice, and she's the only knockout really that's been built up that hasn't won that title yet. So, as a title win, I think this is not a bad booking decision at all. I mean, Brooke Tessmacher winning it in her home state, I'm all for that.
I look at this, it was a good match, a good result, and now we're thinking, yes, there'll be a rematch coming up, but obviously with Tess being the new champion, what's this going to eventually lead to?
Yep, we'll find out on Impact, I guess, this Thursday. Bully Ray versus Joseph Park. Oh my god. This was really entertaining in my opinion. Just how they worked Joseph Park's character into this, like the whole like, you know, and you have Bully Ray healing up saying, "You hit me," spitting in his face and stuff. The characters here is what made this match, in my opinion.
Well, I think that warmed up. We had Buddy Ray backstage on mic, getting him warmed up, really announcing what he's going to do. Speaking of Abyss, he says he doesn't care. He's going to show him that he should have left him for dead, and led to the match. You had Buddy Ray the bully versus Joseph Park, the one who's getting bullied, the victim. And this match, I'm going to say, it was maybe not the best done, but the way they started it, Buddy Ray saying, I don't care, you can't beat me, blah, blah, blah. Then eventually leading to Joseph Parks going to frustration and letting it all out.
For a wrestler versus a non-wrestler match, this was done pretty well, in my opinion. It was quite entertaining. The crowd were pretty hot for it as well. When you have a character like Joseph Park, who is this massive underdog, the crowd are always going to be pretty hot for it. And it all led to the moment which we thought we'd all get. And that was when Joseph Park goes under the ring. And another moment which I really liked and made this pay-per-view feel very special was when Abyss appeared. Even though we didn't see his face, Abyss appeared and chokeslammed Bully Ray through the table. I thought that was another nice moment which made this pay-per-view feel special.
For Anything Goes match, I didn't feel it was the best, not compared to the last time when he faced Abyss in an Anything Goes match. Awesome things happened. This match was a bit weaker. The match didn't really feel like it went on long enough. I know to get Joseph Parks, but I was expecting a bit more of a fight from Buddy Ray, you know, more brutality before Abyss comes. Let Buddy Ray play around with Joseph Parks a bit more, hurt him a bit more. But the result obviously is going to lead to Buddy Ray and Abyss storyline.
It pretty much will, and I think they'll probably build it for Bound for Glory. This is the first of two big angles they've got on the show, and that's what I just want to say here, guys. Although Joseph Park gets the victory over Bully Ray, it's an angle. It wasn't a wrestling match, it was an angle. And for an angle, it was a very entertaining one. And I'll ask you guys out there, you put yours in the comment section below. Did you feel this was better, or did you feel John Cena versus Johnny Ace was better? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. I think I know what the answer is. I really do. Do you want to move on, or have you got anything more to say about that match?
All I can say is that I expected more from Buddy Ray, but if he goes back to a feud with Abyss, which is most likely will, I'm expecting a lot more stronger matches, more monster from Abyss. I'm looking forward to it.
And they've built this up over time with the angle as well, so that will help. That's all I'll say. Next, another segment which made this show feel very special, in my opinion, was the appearance of Christian Cage. Now, a lot of people know he was an ex-TNA, NWA heavyweight champion. The thing is, like, no one was really shocked because everyone had heard it over the internet and Dixie announced it and stuff, so there wasn't really like a sort of, yay, it was more like a, oh yeah, Christian was going to appear, this is it. But, you know, it was still a nice, surprising kind of a special segment to have a WWE guy appearing on a TNA pay-per-view. That was quite strange, wasn't it?
Well, to be all honest, as much as it was a surprise for a WWE wrestler to take this step, because obviously they made a deal to make this happen, I think this was just a little bit weak. We have Christian fly in for this big show. He comes in, makes this an in-ring thing, and there really wasn't much to it. Stand-up, crowd missed you, blah, 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 and all this stuff. And then he shows you video package and cuts off. I really feel it's not overwhelming. It was just him having his little thing, him going back, end of Christian Cage. And it's nice to see him, yeah, but I don't really feel, wow, this is a great moment for Slammiversary.
Well, he did announce the #1 moment in TNA Slammiversary, in TNA history, with the whole Sting return and going after Garret, and Christian was involved in there. So, although you say it was weak, I just think it was another one of those like special segments which at least made this pay-per-views feel somewhat like a 10-year anniversary show, which is what TNA needed to do with this show, in my opinion. We'll move on. AJ and Angle versus Kaz and Daniels for the TNA Tag Team Championship. First thing I want to say here is I was expecting a little bit of Angle advancement, but we didn't really get that in this match, but was still a hell of a tag team match. I think this was a very, very good match. I enjoyed this one.
Of all the matches we got, this was definitely match night. I'm saying that now. The way this went, very nicely done. Strong wrestling from all wrestlers. Even Kaz got his moment of shine in it. And I'm going to say this was nicely done. Yes, there was a lot of base, movement, and obviously each of the heels trying to be dominant. The base would take over, but throughout the match it was both-sided, very nicely done. I can't really disagree with the booking. A very strong match and a good one leading up to the main event. Some
really nice spots in this one as well, with the AJ superstar press off the off the ropes, and there was some nice double team spots in there. The triple German suplex spot was pretty good. So this match had a lot of nice spots in there, and it's no surprise it was a very exciting match. Hence why I gave it 3 3/4 stars in the description box. Yeah, this is a really good tag team match, and if there's the thing is, this is for the tag team championships, and while I think to myself, this really didn't need the tag team championships, what better way to say, how important your tag team championships are by having AJ and Angle versus Kaz and Daniels in one of the biggest angles in TNA right now, right before the main event. You know, that really does cement your, you know, the importance of your tag team titles there, especially compared to how they used to be, like, say, a year ago.
As much as I agree with that, the titles still really weren't needed. After watching this match, I'm just looking and thinking, okay, yes, I can see Kaz and Daniels being the tag champs, but the result led to the titles being switched hands onto two wrestlers who should be single wrestlers are now the tag champs. The match, I'm not bashing at all. Great match. It's just the result I don't really agree with. I see them as single wrestlers, and I just think what's going to come from this, obviously when they both lead, when all four lead on to future pay-per-views.
Interesting to see what they do with this. AJ and Angle get the victory. Well, I think they are better as singles wrestlers, and I think the reason why AJ and Angle won this is because Roode was always going to win the main event, which is like, it was to make the fans happy before the obvious main event heel victory.
But we say this, that there is a possibility Angle could be going up against Roode, but now he's the tag champ. Are they actually going to go down that route now? So that's why I think the heel should have won this. So the possibility of AJ or Angle even going after Roode in the future pay-per-views is open there without anything holding them back.
It's a good point. On that note, we'll move on to the main event itself. Bobby Roode versus Sting for the TNA World Title. Obviously, earlier on in the night, we had Sting, giving that congratulatory speech and everything, thanking the fans over his induction into the TNA Hall of Fame. You're kind of going into this match, you were like, damn, Sting might win, but I really want Roode to win, which is why I was very glad when Roode won this match, even though it only went about 11 minutes and was kind of average action. Really it was a kind of underwhelming event in a way, but I'm very glad Roode retained by hitting him with the beer bottle. I thought that was a nice finish. This
match, again, I wasn't really expecting much from this, even if Sting still got it,
which he hasn't.
It's just, I didn't feel, most of it was all about running around, doing a few moves in the ring, running around. And the beer bottle thing, yes, it was another way of finishing, but it's something we've seen before, nothing much different to it, and we all knew Roode was going to win, and now we're just going to lead him up to facing Anderson at the TV show.
Yep, Roode gets the victory, that's really all that matters to me. After the match, you had Sting pretty much, how you say it in Texas, kicking his ass, motherfucker!
After 2 weeks of the show before the pay-per-view, yes, Roode got the win, which is the important thing, but then Sting has to do a bit more damage to the champion, and I'm thinking, all you've really given Roode in these last 2 weeks, including his pay-per-view, is that big win that he needed.
Which was the important win, really, wasn't it?
Then it went back down to Sting again.
Of course. You had the Sting Scorpion Death Drop off the stage. I guess it was a kind of like let's try and make this pay-per-view end in a kind of big way. But the important thing, Roode gets the victory. The match only went 11 minutes, and Sting was never really going to go that far anyway, so I never really had too much confidence. But there we go. Overall thoughts on this pay-per-view, though. In my opinion, Slammiversary wasn't like the best pay-per-view or anything, but TNA made it feel like a... The fuck are you doing?
The Stinger didn't win his match, but he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and wow, and they made this, in my opinion, feel like a very special show, which is why I enjoyed watching it, even though I thought the pay-per-view wasn't like the best pay-per-view. The little segments they really did make it feel like a special 10-year anniversary show, and my God, NJ. Your thoughts?
Well, it was a pretty good pay-per-view. Everything worked out to make the fans happy, which was important for this. The build may not have been the best, but the pay-per-view worked out to be really surprising for people. Good results here and there, leading on to the future now with Storm returning and all these results that lead to something going to other pay-per-views. So overall, I'm satisfied.
Satisfied, alright, fair enough. Give your thoughts on Slammiversary. I know this review's been long, guys, but we have a lot to say. Give your thoughts on Slammiversary in that comment section below, and I'll leave you to NJ for this what is going to be a really very stinger outro.
Now, people, thank you very much for Mr. Parkin. I'm me, NJ. TNA 10. Till next time, people. Goodbye.